I really love the film Annie Get Your Gun, and I've always meant to look more into the life of Annie Oakley. So when I discovered the 1935 film Annie Oakley, I decided this was going to be worth a watch. This is directed by George Stevens, it's written by Joel Sayer and John Twist, and we have a cast including Barbara Stanwyck as Annie Oakley. And Annie Oakley was a sharpshooter. She is a really fascinating individual. I had a good knowledge about her going into this film, but certainly I didn't know too much of her background. I knew more about her career as a sharpshooter than I did her personal life. So I was really interested to see what this was like. Now, IMDb describes this as a romanticized biography, which is not unusual for a biographical film, but it does mean that I'm taking things with a pinch of salt. So if anybody has any thoughts or information about any inaccuracies or maybe anything that's been exaggerated in the film, please feel free to let me know. But it basically details Annie Oakley's life and her career as a sharpshooter and what that led to, and her interactions with other people, such as Buffalo Bill, and in general, at least from my, I guess, very basic knowledge of Annie Oakley, it seems like a good representation of her life. As I said, I had some information going into the film, and it certainly didn't contradict what I knew, so that works very well. But I learned a lot, again, taking it with a pinch of salt. So in general, if you're a new fan of Annie Oakley and you want to learn more about her, from my perspective, this seems like a good film to go with. The story has a lot to offer. It's got a lot of substance to it. There are a few times when it's maybe a little slow, but because the character of Annie Oakley is really fascinating and Barbara Stanwyck gave a really great performance, the scenes that are maybe a little slower still have something to offer. So I thought it was generally very well done and ultimately a really nice experience. We have some really nice set designs, we have some great costumes. I don't know how accurate they are to the time period. If anybody has any thoughts on that, let me know. And it was easy to feel like I was there. It was easy to feel like I'd been transported back in time, and that's exactly what I want with this kind of film. So in general, it ticks all of the right boxes. If somebody were to say, actually, it's not that accurate, fair enough. I don't have any reason to believe that that's the case. But again, I'm not an expert, so I can't really comment on the accuracy, but I have no reason to doubt it. And in general, I rather enjoyed it. I learned a lot. The performances were great. The story is quite fascinating, and Annie Oakley as a character is certainly very interesting. Needless to say, I rather enjoyed Annie Oakley. And if it sounds like a film for you, if you're curious, if you've never heard of Annie Oakley, I'm going to say it's a good place to start, but I'm not an authority on that, so feel free to contradict me. But I'm certainly happy to recommend it. I'm glad I gave it a go. I rather enjoyed it. It made me want to go and watch Annie Get Your Gun again, so I might have to do that at some point soon. And for now, I am, of course, very happy to recommend the 1935 film Annie Oakley.